Oh, dear friends and family, welcome back. That last play was nasty, and if you missed it, I am so sorry for you. Check social media. I'm sure it will be there, or Reddit. But you're watching the VALORANT Champions Tour Close Qualifier, the maiden voyage. As I mentioned early on, I'm Esports Doug, and with me, the Ultra Lex. Lex,
Hello.
what were your thoughts? I'm going to leave it real open for you. Walking away from that map, I know we're going to take a look at some replays here. What are some general thoughts you took away?
I think both of those teams, as good as they looked at times, there was missed opportunities for sure in terms of just like overall strategy and how to win some of these rounds. And I don't mean that necessarily like everything that I've seen out of these teams has been relatively, it's not super new. There might be one or two things here and there in terms of just the overall play style of these teams, but this is a relatively similar matchup, similar play style that we've seen out of both of these teams on Icebox in the past. And I think, like I said, they both changed up some things. But as a caster, even just sitting here trying to do some analysis, I'm like, this looks pretty familiar to me. And so, when we're talking about like what are my thoughts on it, I guess I'm just surprised that there wasn't more involved like direct anti-stratting of players necessarily. So overall though, the performance of both of those teams, dude, like some of Sentinels players had some insane shots at insane moments. Like Sam was having a heck of a series even with the operator, but the real takeaway for me has been Thief's performance throughout the last, I don't know, 5 or 10 rounds of that game, where it did not matter what Sentinels threw at him. He was just going to win his gunfight. And it was, I mean, if he was able to bring that into Split, where, if you're going towards his bomb site, he's picking up 2 before he goes down, that makes the game so much easier to play, of course. And I think, LG does have a roster that is packed with talent. There's a lot of players on that team. And in fact, there's a lot of players in this server in general that have the capacity to kind of take over games in that way. So, I absolutely think it's within the realm of possibility that we see 3 maps here. Definitely, I think, when it came to being Sentinel's map pick here, excuse me, wait, hold on. What am I looking at on this graphic? I think it just says Haven Vine. That's fine. For Split, at least, these are the bands I'm looking at. I'm like, why does it say they picked these? They didn't, Doug. But I'm just thinking about like, okay, so this is an incredible map for Sentinels, right? So this is, I want to give LG some favor here by just saying the momentum's going their way and there's a lot to look forward to. But I don't know, what do you think? I just don't see them dominating a team like Sentinels on a map like Split.
Yeah, that one's a tougher ask. The last time they played, it was in that best of 5 that we've alluded to a number of times, and Sentinels won Split 13-11. Now, I will say this, for those of you hanging out, watching at home, I saw that you voted Sentinels to take Icebox. 59% of you did. And I'm telling you, at 59% of you, y'all were wrong, all right? You were wrong. You've been sleeping on Luminosity. Stop it, okay? Now, Split might be an entirely different story, and which is why I'm saying that after the map is ended and not before, right? I know how to hedge my bets here. This isn't my first rodeo. But with that in mind, if you haven't voted, I believe there's another vote going on right now specifically for Split. Let us know who you think is going to win. Quick setting of the scene. Last 3 times Sentinels has played meaningful matches on Split, they've proven that they're pretty dang good at it. 3-0 record. Luminosity have a ton of reps on it, but it's not as dominant at 4-3. Sentinels on the attacking side here to kick off Split. We'll see what they have up their sleeve as they work their way right up middle.
Indeed. And as the round does get underway here, Doug, very quickly, I know you were over there in Twitch chat. Which team did you choose?
Here.
I didn't. I'm not. I didn't. What? I promise I didn't.
I wouldn't lie to you. Now. Tell me.
Come on, man. You know I can't do that.
Come on, man. All right. I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. I will tell you what I picked Sentinels. It's okay, though. Dre gets first contact over here in ropes. The A split is underway. There is only one member over there actually at A main, so this could easily be canceled.
Oh, but I love how Thief plays that. right? Like understanding that they're working their way at mid, that they're trying to get him through ropes. He moseys his way into Mail to apply more pressure, to force Sentinels into a box where they have to either go through Thief or go back to ropes. It looks like they're going to go back to ropes. Dre's able to get one. Sinatra trades it back out as kills continue to go down left and right. Luminosity has the numbers advantage. Of course, as I say that, they drop one as well at the hands of Stellar. And in that chaos, we drop down to a 2v2. The spike has been planted. Moose with the frenzy, closing his way up. He's going to spot one. The quick moonwalk with that frenzy, able to get the kill. Sick trades it back out. And much like the rest of the round, it's traded back and forth into a 1v1. This time Sick. Oh no, he's been spotted. It's Moose again with the high impact 1v1 win. And he hits him with the shake at the end there. Luminosity are feeling themselves.
That's a frenzy of a round, Doug. But
Stop. You stop.
So Dapper was very patient over at A main. Sentinels kind of threw a feint towards B heaven, took that map control after they went into ropes. So if you can imagine, just look at the minimap. Pressing into ropes right there, you're calling for A rotates, Dre's taking contact. You know, he didn't get the kill right away, but you know, the information's there. Okay, they want to come towards A. But as soon as that cancel comes out, it seems as though it could be a fake, and there's several LG players were basically caught in a rotation, and they weren't necessarily that decisive with where to go. Thankfully, Crouch spraying the frenzy at long range is just as efficient as a ghost, and Dre dispatched that lurk from Dapper, which otherwise should have been the round-winning play. That said, Sentinels, who just lost Pistol, already pressuring up mid here, and man, I'm glad to see Sage back on split. Can I just say that? I missed her.
Yeah, I was actually going to comment on the fact that we're now both sides, right? Like we just a couple weeks ago, we'd see one team start to play Sage on split, but now it's back. And honestly, it's a lot of the ways that people used to play her before, right? Wall off mid right off the bat, which is exactly what we saw the previous round. They walled off A long, but this time, understanding that that's where Sentinels wanted to go, they put that up. Sentinels pushed their way through anyway, as they've taken Mail, as they've taken B heaven control.
Sure, and at this point, even on an anti-eco, that utility from Sage has done its job to some degree, and it's mitigated the flow. It's stunted the spread of the Sentinel plague across the map, so to speak, into very manageable channels where, you know, nobody's going to get caught off guard. Dre drops the satchel and bounces out. It's a very clean anti-eco thus far. I'm sure I'm about to jinx it by saying this, but LG, 20 seconds left, still no spike plant. And it's just more delay, and only one bullet, and that stinger goes to bite Stellar, but that's that Dre still holding fast in the site. Can he stop the plant, though? No. Moose falls up in front of his own, and you almost think that Sinatra could come away with more kills here, and he does get two. But, you know, actually, that's a fantastic go from Sentinels. There was 20 seconds left on the clock. They don't even have B having control, let alone a spike plant. But they get 3 kills out of it, and a spike plant to go. So, you know what? All things considered, LG, who I gave praise for having a very clean anti-eco up until that point, Sentinels exploited it. Nice play from them to get to that juncture and put a little bit of money in their pocket, grab some alt orbs, and at least push LG to rebuy some of this armor and weaponry.
And Lex, you called the Caster's Curse while it was happening, right? Like you knew it was going to happen. It went sideways. And now check this out. Sentinels, specifically Sinatra, because of the way that went down, he's got a showstopper round 3, right? Like they were able to funnel so many of those kills into him, and he went big there on the site. Almost got more, as you said. But that's a big ult early on, especially on the attacking side, to create some space. You see Sinatra's already worked his way up ramps as he takes a heaven control, and the thing is, there's really, for the defending side, because of some of the recent changes to that map and how that area plays out, it's hard to hold it. You kind of have to play off.
Man, that's something that I should have brought up in the pregame, actually. I don't know, outside of, like, obviously the last event, right? Like, there hasn't been a ton of split playtime in terms of the top teams. So I haven't been able to see how, you know, a lot of these teams have adjusted in a grand sense. So interesting setup. We have like Reina and Cypher over here playing at A. These are these one-and-done spots, playing off those trips ultimately. And I think it might work out here in a moment, Doug.
Yeah, like this is Thief and a Proto This is their moneymaker right here. They anchor this site all the time. I love Thief in what I like to call the discipline box, discipline corner, because nobody checks it. He's able to get one. A Proto gets in on it as well. They anchor that site so well, and they do repeatedly.
It was like watching a train wreck. Everything about that round is like, okay, there's tripwires here, guys. We should just go out of main. They won't know. And they didn't, technically. But as soon as, I believe that was, I think it was a Proto on the actual site, you know, baiting for Thief a bit.
Yeah.
Once he gets visual contact that the enemy is coming out a ramp, like you said, and I apologize for bursting out in laughter in the middle of your cast. the discipline box, because nobody checks it. It's so true. Like that there's no easy way to clear that angle without exposing yourself to the entire A bomb site. So, you know, it seemed as though there was no way that Sentinels comes away with a clean round win.
Yeah.
Winning the bonus is LG. This is huge for an otherwise unfavorable map for them.
And you know the kicker is, if he doesn't get that first
goodness.
pick, he probably has 2 more people walk in front of him, and he's able to team up because, again, it just goes blind. This looks really good from Sentinels. However, you saw the Jet dash in, Shazam, Cloud bursted and checked that corner because he's not going to be full twice on what went down there. They have supreme numbers advantage here. LG, although they have the lead, this is a tough ask to take A back.
But wow, what a response. Instead of backing down, Sentinels just doubles down on it. Now they got a 4-on-1 Stellar up against the ropes. Does find one. Building towards that ult orb, but death here is not the biggest deal because you do earn that resurrection. And in fact, he's got it ahead of time. This is actually... Do you go for this? What's the timer like?
Surely not.
No, there's no way. There's no way.
Surely not.
Sorry, I was just thinking out loud. Audio's a little bit low, man. But you know what? Like, that was the perfect response, which is just like, okay, this is your setup. You're playing 2 on site. Like, we're just going to satchel at you. We're going to dash in. We're going to answer with speed, okay? It wasn't a strategic blunder necessarily the round prior on the bonus, but certainly
other than
the
not
solution's
checking that
there,
box.
right? Oh, well, I mean, if you're satcheling over that guy into heaven right away, then it doesn't become an
that's
issue.
true.
That's what I'm getting at, right? They responded by saying, like, okay, we're going to try the same play because they're clearly not working with any kind of, like, big firepower or doing anything cheeky over here. It's just a Cypher and Arena. So they're probably going to be using the Cypher util, leaning on that to, you know, find the entries and deny kind of the direct push into sight. But
No more charges left.
something that immediately destroys that kind of a play is a jet dash, a satchel from Raze. And certainly Sentinels is no stranger to being able to change up pace in any matchup. But going from like a slow, calculated style into a fast execute like that and having it work that quickly, you know, that makes me worried for LG's overall defense moving through this half. Is like, okay, if you're not able to confidently play the A site, like with just a Proto over there, then you're going to be inclined to play off angles, play, you know, in one and done spots or over peak in situations that you probably shouldn't. And right there, Thief getting his head ripped off.
Yeah.
You do have res, so it's not as though this is like a total loss, but Stellar's not in position to get that right away. And this looks like they're going to yield B. Probably a wise choice considering, well, not Sentinels is there.
They don't know.
They didn't actually hear that at all, did they?
No, they don't know. Yeah, they had no idea.
You're so
Again,
right.
it was cutting. I was cutting noise, and they pull off. That's going to allow Sentinels to get onto the site. They're going to wall off CT, and they have full access. They have full control, and to add insult to injury, Lex, Cypher has mid control. Those 2 players that are about to rotate from ropes, Dapper's going to see them. He may not get both kills, but the information will be there. They're going to understand where this coming from, and to pile it on, he knows exactly where that res is. Dapper waits. Oh, the patience. I love that from him. The Empress is going to be used, but Dapper on the swing continues to hold, waits, and waits. There it is. Your boy Dre gets one. There's Dapper. There's the play we were talking about. Gets one. Not able to get more. Moose does. As he cleans things up, Sentinels finish the round with 3 as they rip LG apart.
Wow. I mean, you said it already, but hit the nail on the head, man. I totally misread that situation. I thought LG, like, okay, you're moving one piece over, Stellar, to go work for the res and ropes. And I think that's a fair play to make. But leaning towards the gamble stack, moving both Dre and Moose off the B site, I thought for sure that was like a calculated play-to-play retake. But no, they were actually going to A. And, you know, couldn't have come a moment sooner. That Sentinels dashes in, takes all of that space for free, and I was amazed to see that they legit could not even hear that jet dash. Now, you want to hear my thoughts on jet abilities? another time. But certainly that
That'll
is
be part of the podcast.
yes, that is one of those situations where it's a beautiful Thief is going to have to be a nuisance over here at A, and that is actually, that bodes well for what we were talking about just a few moments ago on whether or not their A site holds are going to be, I almost said stellar, but if their A site holds are going to be solid, Thief needs to be able to find those entries, and he does. Sentinels is going to double back now, play into that, and hope. You know, unfortunately, they don't run into a deep trip, so this information for LG will come quickly. But they're going to hope that the rotations are moving away from A, which in some ways they are, Doug. And I wonder whether or not this res is going to come out.
Will not kill my ally.
Well, you won't have to wonder for long. A proto here, again, for almost automatic when it comes to headshots. But there it is, that discipline corner. It's there, right? They've been had. They're not going to get hit by the same bug. They know exactly where to check. Thief, however, up from up top, is able to take care of Sinatra. Left. They anchor the site so well, but for now, Sentinels have managed to work their way in. The wall's going to go up too, much like we saw in B last round, to block the defender side spawn, not allow people in, at least easily, as they continue to buy time. LG, they're outnumbered, but this is certainly not out of the realms of possible. They've got Moose up in heaven. They've got opportunities here. But the clock continues to tick away. Dapper gets one. Your boy Dre, with the Stinger, was able to take one. But again, the Sentinels, the numbers advantage is still in favor of Sentinels as the clock continues to tick away time and time again. Moose able to take care of Sick. Dapper still kind of jumping around that corner as things continue to fade away. Moose gets another one. They know where the last player is. Dapper's like a sitting duck down there. They're going to try to stick the defuse. Moose goes in. He's going to get cleaned up. Dapper's going to have to hurry the heck up to get there. Dapper gets it. But oh my gosh, how that easily could have gone the other way.
Wow, man. And you know what? Getting that res onto Dapper, obviously clutching it out, but picking up 3 on the round. He's usually a player that on split for Sentinels, you know, he might not always be over here making presence, but his threat is certainly real and absolutely realized by the sides of LG. What I'm a little curious to know is, once Thief cheats back over and says like, okay, I can't hold this, I can't hold the body, I'm gonna need to just like go reset, help my team maybe at mid, whatever. I don't think there's anything to really be critical of there, but a proto was playing the discipline box and you know, had no help. And it's just one of those things where like you wonder in hindsight, of course, it's so easy as a caster to say this, but when you don't have support and when you're playing that far alone and you have that much responsibility, I gotta think that a proto is killing himself for putting himself in that situation. And unfortunately, like, not even getting the opportunity to slow down Sentinels after that res. They just ran at him, essentially. And that is that speed that, you know, this comp does have with the satchel and the dash that I've mentioned a few times. And against a passive A-hold where you're relying on trips, I think it's totally reasonable for anybody on the side of LG to be getting caught out by these things, because it's hard to stop, man. It's hard to shut it down when you don't have, you know, a Raze over there. And LG is sticking to this Omen Raze combo over at B, which, you know, we haven't seen a whole lot of action here from Sentinels yet. This will be the first time, yeah, Doug, this will be the first time that we're going to see a 5-man hit onto a defended bomb site at B.
Yeah, your boy Dre gets pushed off. He drops the pink ins to make him think twice about it, but with 25 seconds left, you know that's certainly where they have to go. Sinatra's going to use the showstopper initially. He dashes his way in. The wall goes up to provide cover, and nothing connects. It's still a 5v5. Of course, now members start to drop. Dapper and Sick are able to get one apiece. Shazam gets in on it as well. Sentinels just down to 1 with 8 seconds left. Once again, it's Thief with the 4K for Luminosity.
I'm going to need this man's crosshair, res, sense, everything. This
How
guy
he
is
sits, bro. Like, what is he wearing? Like, what is it, man? What shampoo does he use? The guy's out of his mind.
It's not just that he's hitting shots, right? Like, because anybody can stand at the B-bomb site and hit a nice timing, shoot some people in the side of the head. It's that he's almost leading the retake. He's like leading these pushes back into sites where Spike's getting planted. Sentinels is hitting all the marks, hitting all the check boxes, doing all the right things, and basically setting themselves up to win, right? And Thief is just so good. And oh man, there's so much pun opportunity right here, but I'll spare you. He steals it away.
Thank you.
He steals it away time and again, and those are dirty headshots to be doing it with. And oh my, okay. I did not expect myself to be talking 3 times now, Doug. But that Dapper lurk is being shut down by Thief again. And I'll spare the rhetoric. Here's the B play coming out from Sentinels.
Down to 3 members left. How much play do you really have in you as they try to work their way back towards mid? They have drawn out some utility, but man, they paid for it, right? It was an expensive drawing out. And now you see the benefit that Luminosity has here is they don't, because they know they have the numbers advantage, they don't need to bite super hard one way or another. They can afford to spread themselves slightly thin, which is what they're doing here. And even in that instance, they're going to have a 3v3. Stellar gets 1, knows more's coming, gets 2. Line them up and knock them down, baby. A flawless round for Stellar as they just walk into his crosshair and give him a 3K.
Stellar has, to my mind at least, if I had to give an award for like most improved player since I started paying attention to LG, it would be to him. And he doesn't always have these kind of plays where he just is able to shut down rounds. But you know what? I have a certain level of respect for any battle sage. Looking there over at you, Sick. I know how it is, man. It's a beautiful
It's
calling
tough out there, man.
It's a beautiful calling. It's a noble calling. But you know what? Sometimes like it's tough to, especially when you're in attack, like Sick is, to get into games and find opportunities to light up the scoreboard and make plays, you know? And I think, you know, as far as Stellar goes, he's nailing the rotations. Oh, man. Oh, man. 2. Find your third, Moose.
Well, your boy Dre's the one who gets it. Sentinels again on the eco, right? You don't expect this to go super favorably, but it sucks the wind out of your sails, right? Sentinel's just down to Dapper. He's got nothing but a ghost, and he's gonna go for who knows what, trying to find a little something, see what he can catch along the map. But Lex, the interesting thing there is we saw Luminosity do a really good job of playing around Stellar's wall, right? And we've seen it set up a couple of different places. We've seen it mid, blocking off mid. We've seen it in B Heaven, blocking off male, forcing them to go into ropes. We've seen it at the bottom of A ramps, or not quite A ramps, but further down, essentially not allowing any play into A. They do such a good job of playing around that wall that it's just left Sentinels guessing. It's almost not nearly as lethal, but it's almost like having to deal with an op who moves around everywhere, right? You don't know where you can go. You're guessing in a sense.
I mean, the way that LG plays it, you are right. It's not just the wall. It's a Protoss trips. You know, they're taking a little bits of map control and cutting it off. And you're absolutely right. Like when you're on attack on this map, if your player who defaults towards A, I'm looking at Dapper now, but you know, is getting shut down, or you lose that end of the map in terms of just extremity control on attack. The fact is, you're playing a guessing game, as you're alluding to. You kind of have to hope that wherever you're regrouping to, whatever read you're getting at mid or over at B, you know, you might think, heck, this is a 60% chance or whatever, like, pretty decent chance that we're going to go back towards A, and there's only going to be one guy here, but does it matter if there's a Sage wall or a deep trip in front of you, and the rotation can get back there in time to kind of stump your push? And a couple times, LG has been able to pull that off. And even I think it was a round before last where they went down 3v5 pretty early, it seems as though LG's reactions are like, look at Stellar's rotate. He is feeling this out. There's no hard info coming anywhere. He's just reading the game, and that is a tough thing to ask for any player to just do logically. But he's doing it quite well, and he's always on the fringe of the play at least. And the A split comes out from Sentinels now.
Keep an eye on Thief, keep an eye on a Proto. They're going to be the first ones there. Stellar showing up, and Thief once again gets 3. I said keep an eye on him, and sure enough, they're the ones that light up the kill feed. Thief gets 3, a Proto gets 2, Luminosity gets 7.
Wow. And the interesting thing, and the reason I brought up, I wanted to stress to you, not necessarily for the audience, but just, I feel like I haven't seen enough of the new split to really determine whether or not, like, the changes are going to be really good for attackers.
Right.
And generally speaking, I'm going to disagree with that. I think it's almost a more defender-sided map now. Whatever, my hot takes can come another day. But the point is, LG has given a very limited number of looks at A. Right? Like, doubling on site. Here's a fast A play again. Let's see if it holds.
Oh, I mean, a Proto's there. He is going to get one. This is unreal. It's like we're how do they do it, man? They do it again and again.
The man's just walking around the bomb or the spike site, just death matching straight up. He knows what's being covered. He knows where his teammates are at, and he can just hear where they're moving constantly. And it's beautiful to watch a Proto and Thief both in their element over here at A. And I can keep heaping praise on it, but it's so wild that it's working.
Yeah, they play so well off each other. And I want to touch back on something you were talking about. I think I agree with you, Lex. I don't know that those changes, and the data suggests it, obviously. I mean, small sample size, but we're looking at it now. I don't know that those changes have made enough of a difference on the attacking side. So you presume LG are going to go up at half, but the question really is how high is high, right? LG right now are looking at potentially a 9-3 at half.
Cage triggered.
I mean, if you're asking, 9-3 is pretty darn high. A Proto to open things up with one on the Sinatra. Dapper will fall, and the A hit is almost, ooh, actually, check my last. That kill's kind of big because you do have the res on Sick, and his choices are now pretty limited to just resing the Omen. Now, Don's falling in mid there. There's the frag that'll enable it. So suddenly we have an all-even advantage here for nobody. And as I say that, Sick rips the head off of Stellar. And he picks up a third, so he's got 3 kills and the res on a teammate thus far in this round, putting himself in a 2v1. The Moose! In his, like, how many clutches so far, Doug? 6?
I've lost count, dude. I've entirely lost count. Folks, we're going to rewind and look at the film to see how many he has while we go on this break. First half in the books, Luminosity sitting pretty. Can Sentinels pull it off in the second half? We'll find out right after this break. Can come back. Folks, the players wanted to get back into the action very quickly, much faster than we were prepared for, so we don't know how many clutches have been had. What we do know is that Luminosity are up. They have the numbers advantage, the spike is down, and who else but a Proto and Moose here in this 1v2. Dapper, the last one standing on the side of Sentinels. He's going to get some info, but of course, he's going to drop at the hands of Moose, no less, as Luminosity take the pistol in the second half.
And that's a conservative estimate, too. I said 7 clutches, but it may very well be 8 or 9. Like, to be in that position as, you know, Sova typically is looked at, you know, on the previous map at least, as a support player. Omen, kind of the same thing, where you maybe are empowered to make plays and frag out, but in a team comp, in a team setting, you know, those opportunities may or may not come up. So for Moose, you know, if you go down in the very first map against Sentinels and you're 1-9 at halftime, and then you open things up with, like, what? In the first 3 rounds, he had like 2 1v2s, you know, something along those lines. And then here again in this map, coming up big. And it's not as though this is a close game where it's going to, like, bleed the difference right away. We might not know that till later. But absolutely, it's setting LG up to have this huge lead right now. There's no question that they are in vast control of not only this game, but at this point, the series, Doug. Like, this is Sentinels fighting for their tournament lives here.
Well, we'll see just how heavily defender side of this map still is, right? This is going to be an excellent opportunity to understand how that swing plays out. The wall's going to go up, as Sick is going to drop. That's going to allow Luminosity to mosey their way into B Heaven. Your boy Dre is there with the Phantom as he's keeping Sentinels back. They've taken so much control. Dapper's there. You can tell they forced. Oh my gosh, the Stinger! Stinger's able to get 2, but a Proto trades it out. Things have gotten very close all of a sudden, ladies and gents. Luminosity still with the numbers advantage, but you see Shazam with the Stinger of his own. Up top, Stellar. Stellar's going to be one of the first points of contact, so those bullets come out. Just checking down If anyone's coming in from the defender spawn, nothing doing quite yet. The smokes have gone out, the paranoia is there. Stella understands. Zom gets the shot. Zoms gets the kill as they dash onto the site, but it's still a 2v2. Shazam gets one. He's gonna get pushed. It's Moose. Moose gets one. You're kidding me. Moose might freaking do this thing again. 6 bullets and 15 health. No, it's Zoms who stops it dead in its tracks. They're gonna get the defuse. Sentinels get to round 4.
Can't win them all. Moose almost won them all, but you can't win them all. That's just how it goes, man. And you know what? Beautiful play from Shazam and Zoms right there to close that round out for Sentinels. And I mentioned that their tournament life, sorry, not tournament life, but just series life in general. You know what I mean?
Winners bracket life.
Yeah, I prefer upper quarters, but it is.
Well, that's fair. That's fair. That's fair.
I just love that I described it as tournament lives on the line, as if they're out after this. So everybody's at home right now criticizing me in chat, rightfully so. That said, you know what? Like you forced into that round, and it's 10-3 on the scoreboard. If you lose, which they were down 2-on-3 with the spike plant, then that's pretty much wraps. It's not over yet necessarily, but that's pretty much wraps. So there is definitely an opportunity here for Sentinels to start their momentum turn, you know, swing things back in their favor, find some footing, and absolutely have the potential to bring this map back to a winnable situation. But
the problem is that the deficit is just so big, Lex, right?
It is.
Like, again, this is a great opportunity for us to learn whether or not the map is still heavily defensive-sided, because Sentinels, much like we saw from Luminosity in the last half, can rattle off a lot. But again, it's a hard ask. Sinatra gets some info. They know where they're coming from. And they're just ripping them to shreds. Luminosity's just down to Stellar. He's going to mosey his way over with the Frenzy. It's a dope skin, by the way. Glitch Pop 2.0, right? Holla at your boy. I love him.
Have you gotten your Glitch Pop skins yet, Doug?
I haven't.
Because everybody wants the Glitch Pop 2.0 skin.
Yeah, I know. They look so clean. They look so clean. But it just a Glitch Pop, dope skin or not, right? It doesn't pan out for Stellar there. That's 2 rounds in a row. We talked about how Sentinels forced in the second round of the second half, and so far so good, right? Like, it's paying off. They're gonna ride this bonus right into the sunset. They're looking good right here to slowly chip away at the huge deficit that they're facing.
Indeed. Suddenly 10-5, a much more respectable situation, to be certain. But I think the interesting things that we can keep an eye on for this half is, obviously this is just a slow default coming out from LG, break the wall at mid, and you know they would be unwise to press forward now, given that there's 3 players from Sentinels from our bird eye point of view in the minimap. See that they're all ready for mid aggression, and they're going to contest it if it comes. So LG, timid as they are for whatever reason keen on that, or at least not willing to chance it. But yeah, 2 players working towards the A side of the map. And that may, in fact, draw one more rotator over. And that B site looks really juicy if this is going to be a full-out fake.
Oh, and look, the smoke came out from Omen 2 again to kind of suggest that that's where they're going to go. The wall has been invested from Sage because they know at least somebody is over there, but there is some discipline coming out of Sentinels as they haven't fully committed. They haven't fully sent over. Shazam gets 1. The wall's been broken down, but the discipline, again, they just don't budge, bro. They're not moving at all, and Dapper's, because of his discipline, was able to get 1. Stellar trades it out, some clean shots right up over the ice wall, but Sentinels have the numbers advantage. Now they're going to funnel their way all the way back towards B, but will there be much of a sight left? The spike's going to go down. Stellar gets another 1 in a 1v2. Gets 1. That's 3 on the round for him. And he's got the res. You're right. He's going to totally turn things in LG's favor. Stellar gets the shots of 4K as LG continue to pile it on Sentinels.
Stellar, you're making me a fan, dude. That was one heck of a clutch. And again, I can't help but fanboy a bit over Battle Sages. But between this map and the last, you know, he's had his time to shine in this map for sure. And there's been a few rounds that would not have been won otherwise without some Sage heroics. So that's fun to watch. A res 1v1 finish, essentially. That's tough because, I mean, as far as Sentinels goes, they kept their SMGs. They were very cleanly handling that round, as you kind of so nicely keyed up for us. But the fact is, at the end of the day, if you're over pushing that Sage on the default boxes and you're not going together, it leaves a real opportunity for somebody to make plays on you, and Stellar did so right there.
Yep.
And I started to talk about this when I was mentioning the default of LG here. They're just fishing for info at mid, and I'm anxious to see, you know, I'm kind of thinking about Moose and a Proto on the extremities, whether or not, you know, in the same way that Sentinels kind of does, a Proto is going to be looking for that top air ramp control, whether or not they're going to be denying information the whole time, caging cross, whatever. But I'm wondering that out loud to you, Doug, because I think once, whoop, check my last, we have a nice showstopper coming into B Heaven, but Sinatra satchels out wisely so, saves his skin, LG resets.
But they don't take the space, too. That's what's interesting. They had the paranoia that pushed off the Rays. They blast packed their way in with the showstopper, but there was no follow-up. Lex, and they cut noise. That wall's there, so they know no one's coming in through garage. They know that nobody followed up in B Heaven.
Seconds left.
So you can, as Sentinels, you can afford, with an element of comfort to it, to pull off, right, and send some more towards A. Sick is just playing so far up here, and he's alone.
He does have some help now. Dapper's on site with him. He will be deadly as ever on default. Finds 3. Dapper lives, Doug, and now 4-on-1, just the food. You know what? Considering everything I've seen out of this man today, I have no doubts that anything's possible. But Dapper, who has one heck of a round, one heck of a hold, that was well played by him. And yeah, Sick was kind of on his lonesome, waiting for that wall to fall, and he lives just long enough for the rotates to come in, Dapper, and make a play. And it's taken me 3 rounds now, but I'm finally going to finish this thought, Doug. Every time I feel like there's something immediately happening, but we haven't seen Shazam op yet. And when it comes to defaulting on this map, it can get really sketchy if you are over-aggressing at mid early, or if you're, you know, allowing yourself to be aggressive at A main with you know, Cypher caging, which, you know, Proto has been to some degree, but he hasn't been pressing his luck yet. And of course, like, look at this, like, Shazam's going to spray through that. You expect in a Proto lurk. You don't necessarily think it's all 5 there, but I think the jig's up at that point. You kind of know. I've seen people that aren't Cypher here. This has got to be an A hit. The rotates come in. Sick gets deleted by a Proto. Shazam finds one more, but here we are. A 3-on-4 situation, a 1-on-4 situation. Shazam's looking for the ace now. And Mr. Khan called down. Picks up 4, looking for 5. Moose actually just falls onto a Phantom. I'd love to see that. Sinatra steals it away. I'm anxious to see whether or not that kind of style of, okay, denying info at A, causing A players to have to stay at home, that's what a Cypher's really good at doing on this side of the map. And it allows for about 20 seconds or so a timing window to where the defenders are essentially frozen. And that, you know, can be countered by running an op and having Jet kind of find out these picks. So, haven't seen it yet, but I guess what I'm kind of wondering is, like, whether or not Shazam's even going to try to. And he hasn't picked it up yet thus far. Things are working so far on the defense for Sentinels, but I don't know. If you're LG, you have Sage, Rays ult to worry about. B does not seem like the tasty option, and understandably they're going towards A because of that. And now here we are, pressing into the A bomb site. Sentinels is playing completely opposite of the way LG did, Doug.
Dude, nobody checked ramps? All right. Oh, he got all the way around. Zombs has an idea. He heard it. But still, nobody checked that. Zombs was just able to mosey his way down for free. Shazam got in on it as well. Moose was supposed to be the safety valve there, and he drops. Shazam gets a second on the round. Luminosity get ripped to shreds as Shazam gets 4.
8 and 2 rounds for him as well. This guy is heating up as an understatement. But I think that is a performance where, okay, we had 2 kind of, you know, I don't want to say they were both sketchy rounds, but certainly at one point it seemed as though yielding the A bomb site, kind of playing a retake on it, holding that top ramp A heaven position was the only way that, you know, maybe the retake would come through for Sentinels, but didn't even need to come to that. You know, Shazam picking up some clean kills there in both of those instances, and here's the operator finally seeing it out of him, and he is just going to use it towards A, so not going to go for anything crazy yet.
Well, and so real quick, keep an eye on this. It wasn't Shazam that bought it. Dapper went into that last round with 4,600 credits. They win that one, and Shazam, he buys it for Shazam, so Shazam has an op. He has a ton of money to work with as well, and this might be the point where Sentinels, because of that op, are really able to run away with this thing because they have the money that they can invest long-term for the next couple of rounds to ensure that that's a factor.
Sick will be able to get this res off, I believe. Might be able to see the top of a head. It doesn't matter. Nobody's there anymore. LG has yielded that possibility and said we can't do much about it. And opted to regroup back towards the A site. And Soto must be getting... Oh, that's some timing. And the rule of Bogdan says that op goes away from Shazam towards a wounded teammate. But there it is. Picks it back up. Matching Ion skins across the board looking good. And this be Heaven play, you could maybe see a world in which, you know, Dapper overplays his hand a bit, loses his life for his trouble, and maybe you yield a spike plant. But really, it seems like, I mean, you already said it. Sentinels, whether it's because of the operator or maybe they're just feeling very comfortable on defense. Obviously, this is a map where LG is not expected to win this, right? Like, this is Sentinels' home turf as far as I'm concerned, but they're definitely showing why now, and I'm impressed with their ability to rebound. And at least up to this point, I mean, they've only dropped 2 rounds this half. LG, and I don't want to take anything away from what they've done so far, but hasn't really shown that they can do anything to win around here. Outside of that 6 Sage clutch, sorry, not 6 Sage clutch, Stellar Sage clutch. I really haven't seen them strategically outplaying Sentinels yet.
Well, dude, I think you're probably mincing words here. It hasn't been that they haven't been able to get much going. They haven't done anything, right? Like, it's been all Sentinels that pistol round, but then they force, and they've just been able to run away with it since. And again, the finances for Sentinels now have them sitting so pretty, right? Where they're able to get a whole lot going. They can invest for the long term, and potentially, like, take this map away.
And the thing about it is in this point in a game, if you're going back and forth, but you're able to achieve this level of a bank account, sure. Like, you can afford to take some risks, like go for an aggressive op, put your team up. But they haven't even needed to.
Right.
Like, Sentinels is just like, okay, you're coming here, we're reading this, we're rotating appropriately, we're staying at home, we're not fooled. And that's not to say that what LG's doing is wrong or you know, wholeheartedly bad, but certainly it's been unsuccessful so far. So I'm interested to see whether or not they're going to have an answer for, you know, actually taking B Heaven control against Sinatra, who's one of the best in the game at defending this area on the map. He's always over here with the raised nade out, as we are seeing currently, but this is tense.
30 seconds left.
Just on the other side, that wall's going to go up. That's going to be the cue. Sinatra's going to put the paint cans over the top. The showstopper is going to be used as well, but Sinatra doesn't get a chance. Stellar silky smooth shots take him out. Thief gets in on it as well. Sentinels just down to 3 members left. It's now Thief up there in the rafters. The spike needs to go down. That's exactly what happens with just enough time to keep it interesting. The wall is still keeping members of Sentinels at bay, but now Sentinels have a little bit of room to work. But the thing is, Lex, they're so outnumbered, right? Like, it's a 5v3. It's a hard ask. And I mean, yeah, what do you do in a situation like that? The round was over probably 20 seconds ago.
Well, I mean, unfortunately, you yield match point there, and frankly, you ask, what do you do? Well, you have the money where you don't need to necessarily worry about saving, but beyond that, collect your 3 ult orbs for deaths and you know, press forward with a clear conscience and a clear mind in the next round, and hopefully they're able to reset off that. But man, did LG, as ever, you know, talking about caster curses all day so far. I don't know if I'd call this a curse, but you know, speaking to their lack of finding a weakness in the defense of Sentinels, well, there it is. Be Heaven, where usually I would view that as a big strength for Sentinels. Sinatra did all the right things right there.
Right.
But dropping that Sage wall, waiting for it was stellar. And
so aggressive.
And he wastes his showstopper along the way. So now for LG, like they've sniffed out this mid aggression, Doug. This is going to be intense, whether or not they clean it up. The operator is posted from Shazam as well. Ooh, tense.
They're just on the other side of the wall. The Roomba's there. There's the Lear. Nobody peeks quite yet. Great discipline out of Luminosity. Shazam just, I mean, a few pixels away from making something happen. The wall goes up. They decide they don't want to deal with it. But Thief from up top, able to get one. Sinatra trades it back out. Sentinels just down to 3 members left here as they fight to stay in this series, as they fight to stay in this map, as they fight to stay in the winner's bracket, or the upper bracket, as my friend Lex so eloquently put. But Luminosity with the numbers advantage, they're going to get onto A for free.
Not only are they going to get it onto A for free, but as you mentioned, I mean, they do have, I won't say ult potential here, but playing the post plant on A, it's a lot easier to drop that res and bait off of it, given the space that you have in front of you. So for a Sage, like, this is still, you're basically counting the 5-on-3 here in some instances. And Dre finds the first. Dapper and Zombs with it all to do, Doug.
Sentinels just down to 1, and ladies and gentlemen, it may have been a fluke the first time, but it's not the second time. Luminosity Gaming take down Sentinels, and they demand attention. They have proven yet again that they belong.
Wow, that was both maps, man. Fun series for sure, and I hate to understate it by describing it as fun, but seriously, like, that was an intense 2 maps out of both of these teams. There's a lot, I think, that, you know, if you're Sentinels in a loss like that, maybe some of you didn't have your best games. Maybe you're kind of bummed about it or whatever. Some bad things happen. Unlucky. Love to chalk it up to those kind of, you know, nomenclatures when you're talking about losses. But overall, man, that was an LG victory to me. They stepped up to the plate. All 5 of those players had tremendous rounds to say far, far underneath what it really was, which was heroics, really, out of the likes of in that first map on Icebox, man. I can't wait to actually rewatch that VOD and just like, look at this. This guy just, I mean, I may have suggested that he has used some artificial arms in the past for this aim. I don't know, but I can't stress enough how impressive it is to watch this LG team when they are playing at this caliber. Sentinels is a team that I personally anyway, man, like, Doug, I love watching Sentinels play. So
they're so much fun to watch. Yeah.
I mean, for me to give this praise and hand it to LG for that first map, I think was totally reasonable, but it was unprecedented to step to them on split and take map 2 2-0 decisively, really.
It looked good, man. And here's the thing too, Sentinels, you gotta give them kudos, because that second half, for how the first half went, the fact that it was as close as it was at the end there was just a testament to how well Sentinels played it out. But as we mentioned, the deficit was too big, right? The hole they found themselves in was just too dang deep, and they weren't able to make anything work. They weren't able to get back into things, and unfortunately, Sentinels are going to fall to the lower bracket. I mean, Lex, before we cut to break, before we go, because this is going to do it for you and I here on this broadcast, give me thoughts, right? $50,000 tournament, day 1. We have 2 series in the books, at least in this on this stream. What are some general thoughts, general takeaways that you walked away with?
I mentioned this on Icebox, or it was like right after Icebox ended. My general thoughts are, at least on the end of Sentinels, it didn't look as though they changed their game plan a whole lot. And I don't mean that as like, oh, they failed strategically. It's not necessarily even that. It's that you had just played this team in a series. I expect, if I'm the IGL and I'm coming back after a loss like that, I'm going to come back with some tricks up my sleeve, or at least hope, you know, like, do your homework that you're not going to be surprised by anything that LG's doing. But I honestly can't even tell whether or not that's on Sentinels as much as it was LG performing at the level they were, man. Because, like, how do you account for the likes of individual talent that we saw out of guys like Thief, Stellar, Dre? Like, when you're performing at a level that makes Sentinels players look weak compared to you, Doug, I'm impressed.
It's funny that you say that, because the last time I called Luminosity, I think it was during one of the breaks, I tweeted out, how do you account for the fact that a proto doesn't miss? Right? Like, yeah. What do you do with that? How do you anti-strat that? Like, how do you account for that? It's just, it's brutal. Exactly. Folks, let's take a look at the bracket. While we pull up the bracket, y'all did it again. I know y'all did it again. You voted Sentinels. First split, 53% of you went for Sentinels and Luminosity. took it away yet again. There's a quick look at the bracket. Immortals and XSET goes the distance. I believe 2 of those maps went into overtime, but Immortals advanced. We saw Gen.G take care of business up against NRG, and we also saw Luminosity take care of things up against Sentinels. So the last upper bracket match I believe is going on right now on the sister stream is Envy and Andbox, which is a banger of a series. But here's the lower bracket. You've got XSET. Here's some of the matchups as they start to come out. XSET against NRG, which I'm also going to go on a whim, I believe is happening right here next. And then Sentinels waiting to see who's going to drop from that previous match up top to see who they're going to have to fare against. It was a doozy. Again, I know I mentioned this earlier. It really does take a lot of hands. It does take a lot of people to put together something like this. So I just want to take a moment once again to thank our friends over at HyperX for helping come together to make this possible. I see the headset. You look good in it. I mentioned this earlier on, but guys, every day, billions of people wake up. And look, man, I'm one of them, right? Maybe I wake up, pour a little coffee, right? Because I'm a coffee guy. Black, by the way. Eat sometimes and fire up a game. For me, it's a death match. For other people, it may be something else, but it's part of our daily routine, right? Console, PC, casual, pro, no matter what your creed, color, or culture is, we are all gamers, and HyperX is always ready to game. Thank you to our friends over there. There's that Cloud 2 wireless. It's beautiful. I mean, look at that. I'm a sucker for the red and the black too, right? Like those colors always work really well for me. So big fan, but folks, that is going to do it for us. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. We do have more here on the stream, so you don't have to go very far. You're in good hands, we promise you. But we're going to cut to a break. When we return, losers bracket matches just around the corner. We'll be back.
I feel like I need to defend my scene's honor here, because this is just turning into a bit of a dog battle.
Like in groups always look.
I'm cutting you off here. I'm cutting you off. Cutting you off. He said G2's winning it. He said G2's winning it.
We need to wait till the next EU tournament, which could be in about 10 years now.
Take it with like a grain of salt.
No,
but
that's
that
no
being
fun.
said,
Take it super literally.
Spike defused.
Oh, baby. Contrast stitching. Curves that'll hug your body. Adjustable arms. Custom embroidery. Memory foam pillows. Changeable color inserts. Lay flat, recline. Removable logos. Soft, durable material. Yeah. You like what you see, baby? Zip chair.
What sound experience would you like today?
I'll have the fantasy pack.
Good choice.
And could you make it a Cloud 2 wireless?
On his way, sir.
Sounds amazing.
Wow.